Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the men and women of the 7th Bomb Wing, I welcome you to today's retirement ceremony honoring Colonel Wilbur McLamb on his retirement from the United States Air Force following 24 years of honorable service to his country. My name is Staff Sergeant Tyler Martin, and I am honored to be your narrator for today's event. Officiating today's ceremony is Colonel Matthew Newell. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Dyess Air Force Base Honor Guard and the singing of the National Anthem by Lieutenant Christopher Smith.
Present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, where so gallantly streaming, and the rockets irregular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Poster.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Lieutenant Smith. Thank you, Lieutenant Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Kim could not make it to today's ceremony, but he still wanted to give today's invocation. Please direct your attention to the screen.
I can make it in person, but I'm here in spirit, not in a creepy way. Please join me in prayer as you feel comfortable. Let us pray. Great God, we thank you for this time when we're able to gather together to celebrate a very special day with our beloved leader and a friend, Colonel Brent McLamb. After 24 years of faithful service to our nation, Colonel McLamb stands here ready to make one of the last memories of his Air Force career. Lord, I know that you were there when he first took the oath, and we know that you are here now. You've never missed a moment of his life, and we thank you and honor you for your love and care. We thank you for sending Colonel McLamb to the Air Force, especially to Dyess. He has been an amazing commander, a phenomenal leader, and a great friend for so many of us. We thank you for your blessings upon him, for enabling him to accomplish many things and to make great impact on others and many others as well. But we know that his career and his ceremony wouldn't be possible without the support of his family. We thank Miss Heather, Parker, Hannah, Marion, and Marley for supporting him and serving alongside with him. I pray that now the family will get to keep him as much as they want, and may God bless your next chapter together as a family. We pray for the next journey, Lord. I pray that you will grant them healthy body and spirit to continue to serve you and the people together. And wherever and whatever they may have planned, I pray that you will lead their steps and that they would follow you faithfully. And now be with us as we continue on in his absence, for he will be missed dearly. And bless our time together as we continue to celebrate and honor his service. I pray all these things in your holy name. Amen.
We are pleased to have several distinguished guests here with us today. I do, however, ask that you hold your applause until all guests have been announced. The 7th Bomb Wing Vice Commander, Colonel Kevin Kippy. The 7th Bomb Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Eric Duggar. The 432nd Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Adrian Warren. The 317th Airlift Wing Director of Staff, Mr. Jim Barlow. We are especially privileged to have with us today the family of Colonel McLamb as we celebrate this momentous occasion. His wife, Heather, his daughters, Hannah, Marion, and Molly, and his son, Parker. We would also like to thank all commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, Air Force civilians, and Team Dyess airmen and friends that are in attendance with us to celebrate this wonderful occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the presiding official for today's ceremony, Colonel Newell.
Everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Pete, Chief, Benjo, Chief Warren, thanks for making the drive out. Goldie, let's see, Todd, thanks for coming. Don, appreciate you and the family coming out to this special day. Most importantly, welcome to the members of Team Dyess and the 7th Mission Support Group. You know, we're here to honor and celebrate Colonel Brent McLamb's retirement from the United States Air Force after 24 years of honorable service. Say, let's start with that. First, I want to say thanks to Lieutenant Smith for the wonderful rendition of the National Anthem. I know that was a short call, so thanks for doing that. Senior Benavidez, Lieutenant Smith, thank you for organizing today's event. I know it means a lot to the McLamb family. Tyler, thanks for narrating, buddy. And especially a special thanks to our Honor Guard and our incredible protocol team, HDM team. Thanks so much, guys. I also want to welcome all the additional guests who came to celebrate this occasion with the McLamb family. I especially want to welcome, virtually, some of Brent and Heather's family. His parents, Harold and Joyce, Heather's mom, Mickey, Brent's brothers, Thomas and Warren McLamb, and Warren's wife, Cindy, his sister, Rebecca Anderson, and her husband, Elijah, Heather's sister and brother-in-law, Stacy and John Morgan. Welcome. All right, most importantly, I want to recognize Brent's wife, Heather, and their 4 wonderful children, Parker, Hannah, Marion, and Molly. I've had the privilege of working with Brent over the last 2 years, and what a 2 years it has been. We certainly could have never imagined COVID-19 and all of the chaos that it brought. But what I can tell you this, Team Dyess and its families owe a lot to this man. As you travel through your Air Force journey, you meet a lot of people, but very few people I've met have had such a significant impact on me and everyone else in such a short amount of time. Brent and Heather, I cannot tell you what an honor it is for me to preside over today's ceremony. Thank you. And honestly, it was a little bit of a surprise, one for two reasons. Brent knows multiple four-star generals, and I remember back in August of 19, a couple months after we'd taken the command, I think we were one of the change of command ceremonies, and Brent comes up, and we were talking about moving on base, and he goes, yeah, man, you know what? You got to watch out for that first couple that brings you a gift. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on now. Thinking back a couple months ago, Tiff and I were the first couple that brought them a gift. So we're the shady ones. But somehow he still asked me to do this, and I can't say thanks enough for it. All right, my goal today is to highlight three things that, for me, define who Brent is. Obviously, family, the most important. Impact to both the mission and the airmen and the people lucky enough to serve with him and for him. And finally, humility. Brent is probably one of the most humble guys I know. As we sat down over the last few weeks and I read through his record, he's not the type of guy that wants to tell you about what he's done, what he's accomplished. But when I want to hit on humility as I step through his career, I'm doing that for his family and for his extended family who couldn't be here, because he won't do it himself, and he has done some pretty amazing things. And his bosses, since he was a young lieutenant, have thought incredibly highly of him. So, with that, let's get this thing off. All right, I'll start with the most important, family. To the McLambs, family's not an important thing, it's everything, which perfectly sums them up. You know, I'm going to tell you a story from my personal experience. So, somehow, when we first got here, my wife and I, in our mid-40s, decided to have a baby. Yeah, no, it's funny. Laugh. I am living that dream right now. As she's 13 months old. And obviously we had no idea COVID was going to happen. So May comes around, and as we're like, oh my gosh, we can't have her parents come in, our parents come in. What in the world are we going to do? There's one family we thought of, and it's the McLambs. We knew, after just spending those first few months with them, how much they valued each other and how much they valued everyone around them. So when the time came on May 3rd at 5 in the morning, the phone rang one time. Heather immediately picked up, frantic. What? And we're like, okay, she's ready. She grabs Parker, and they come over, and they watch our boys' schools. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But family, obviously, for you guys, is by far and above the most important thing. And it truly shows. So thank you. All right, speaking of family, for Brent, it starts with his parents, Harold and Joyce, who provided him an environment where he could broaden his horizons and pursue his goal of an Air Force career. Harold and Joyce, I want to thank you for raising him to be the man, husband, father, and leader he is today. I also want to thank Mickey for raising Heather to be the woman, wife, and mother she is. It takes a special person to live the life of an Air Force family. It is your upbringing that gave Heather the characteristics and strength to live this life we call an Air Force career. All right, and of course, Heather. This is what's going to take a special turn for me. As Brent and I talked, he told me a story that I have to relay to you guys. So, that's it, Heather. It's okay. It's all right. This will go quick. Heather and Brent first met in the 5th grade. And we all know people say and do silly things in the 5th grade. But what I'm about to tell you is 100% true. There's no 10%. This is legit. She's already turning red, and that's okay. All I ask you to remember is Brent is a brilliant man. He's brilliant. But we all make mistakes and have slight slip-ups. So, back to 5th grade. 2 girls in the class that Brent identified as the best looking. So one day in class, Heather's sitting next to him, and he, no kidding, looks down to his future bride and says, "Damn, you have big feet." Ladies and gentlemen, this is one technique, and one technique only. I do not recommend this in any way, shape, or form. For 5th graders, through grown adults, I would not encourage you to say this. she is a saint, and she gave Brent a chance and didn't take him too serious. Heather, you served over 20 years in our Air Force, 8 moves, 4 children, and countless TUIs later. You're still at his side. I know this for a fact. Brent would not have been able to serve our country if you also did not sacrifice for our country. Heather, the Air Force cannot say thank you enough for all your years of sacrifice. All right, Parker, Hannah, Maren, and Molly. You're special to have lived the life of an Air Force kid. You have been to places and experienced things many of your friends will never experience or even understand. With that, of course, comes sacrifice. You had to share your dad with the nation and with all of us over the last 20 years as we borrowed him. For that, my family and I want to personally thank you for your service and your sacrifice. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, as I said earlier, family, impact, and humility. 3 things as we walk through his career that I want to highlight, especially the family piece. So we're going to start at Whiteman. Fresh out of college, newlyweds, no kids, and of course they're wanting to see the world, like anybody that joins the Air Force. Well, folks, they got to go to Whiteman Air Force Base in Knob Noster, Missouri. I want you to imagine a town called Knob Noster. There you go. You can see it. So there's not much sightseeing there. But the best part of the whole experience is once they get settled, Brent starts his work on a classified B2 program. He tells Heather on the way out the door, listen, and just remember, they're new. I can't tell you where I'm going or how long I'll be gone, but there's this 1-800 number you can call. Only in emergency, you call that number if you need me. So think about that. Newlyweds, and he's like, yeah, I'm out. See you. And he takes off for 2-3 weeks at a time, and Heather can't call anybody. Well, she can call the 1-800 number, but I don't know if I do that. Heather, again, you're a saint. All right, as a lieutenant for the impact piece. Like I said, Brent was involved in a very special program in the very early stages of B2 testing and development. He actually helped draft the very first ever B2 top secret addendum at the Warfare Center, the U.S. Air Force Warfare Center. And what I can tell you is this. The Warfare Center for the Air Force is where we do all of our high level, the most classified level of planning for future wars. And having flown the B2 for over a decade, what Brent did as a lieutenant still remains in play today, 20 years later. I'd say that's pretty impactful for a lieutenant. Humility. Some of his bosses said, saved $1.5 million. Dedicated, hardworking officer. Superb role model for our CGOs. Nominated for Test Team of the Year. Again, not too bad as a lieutenant. All right, now it's time to move on. We're done with Knob Noster. He didn't have much say in this next assignment, but he got lucky, and he's off to Eglin Air Force Base in the sunny state of Florida and the beach. But most importantly, though, you get to come home every night, and Heather, there's no 1-800 number to call and look for Brent. Thankfully, it's a win there. For the family, this is when Parker and Hannah joined Team McLamb. I'll start with Parker. You're an incredible young man. And like I said earlier, we knew who to call. And of course the boys were like, oh, we want Parker. I know. But just so you know, my boys are my whole world to Tiff and I. And we don't trust them to very many people. I don't tell very many young men how incredible they are. But you are going to be a great dad one day. Not soon. Not soon. But one day you're going to be an incredible dad. And thank you for that. All right, now I got to brag on Hannah just a little bit. All right, this young lady brings a smile to your face every time you see her. There were so many moments over the last 2 years when we would be outside, Hannah would ride by, stop, formally welcome each person that she saw in the driveway, and then began her daily update. Within minutes, we knew all the news from the McLamb house. Good times. And then she was off on her next adventure. And each time, she was so pleasant, had the absolute best manners, and an incredible smile. Hannah, thanks for always stopping by, and no matter what kind of mood Tiff and I were in, for always making us smile. Thank you. Oh, Tiff also said she's going to miss you, and she's going to miss your homemade gifts. Impact. This is where he really kicks it into high gear. He was a test manager for 3 weapon systems: the MAL, the miniature air-launched decoy, the $1.1 billion large aircraft infrared countermeasure test, and he was the lead survivability and test analyst for the $3.3 billion JASSM missile. Ladies and gentlemen, if the United States ever sends us, the military, into harm's way against a near-peer adversary like China or Russia, these are the weapons you want to have. And Brent, you can't say thanks enough for what you did, because I know if we ever had to use those weapons, they would save countless lives. So thank you. Humility, rising star in the Air Force, my #1 CGO, my #1 choice for program manager, #1 of 13, #1 of 9 captains. SOS, our PME DG, one of only 32 out of 400 students to receive the Distinguished Graduate Award. Oh, in his spare time, he decides to get his MBA. Of course, it's Brent. Seriously, dude? All right. After Eglin, the McLambs are off to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where Brent was selected for a prestigious master's degree program. One master's, just not enough for this guy. Brent focuses his research on, wait for it, I do have to read it, reducing the uncertainty in effects-based operations. No idea what that means. I've never read the paper, but I can tell you you're going to hear more about that in a little bit from someone else. All right. But Brent does knock it out of the park, earning a 3.97 GPA and being recognized as the #1 of 42 students and receiving the Best Student in His Class award. Pretty impressive. But most importantly, this is where the twins are born, Marin and Molly. And the McLamb family is now complete and ready for baseball and softball over the next 18 years. All right, off to DC for round 1. Brent's assigned to the air staff, working manpower and personnel. For the family side, I'll keep this part short. 4 kids, all under 5, and in his words, we look like a damn zoo. That's enough said about the family on that. Impact. This is where you're going to see Brent's career take off. He gets put in certain positions that are pretty remarkable. So this one, he and the A1 team, they set all the numbers across the entire Air Force for retirement, retention, promotion, and bonuses. And this was a very tumultuous time. It was the 2006-2007 era, and we're going through a massive reduction in force. But one story that I had to tell that related to me was again, maybe not his best choice, but he's looking at the chaplains. And thank goodness Chaplain Kim isn't here. He goes up to the 2-star general, the chief of chaplains, and he says, "Hey, sir, we're gonna have to kick out some chaplains." Again, not sure what he was thinking, but he does it. The next morning, the 2-star general calls Brent in and said, "Brent, no, we're not going to kick out any chaplains. We're going to keep those chaplains. Bottom line, Brent, be careful when you speak to men of God, and 2, know who you're talking to." Chief of chaplains, the big man. #1 of 8 CGOs and #2 of 9 majors in his first year as an 04. All right, after the DC craziness, they needed a break, so it was off to Rhode Island, and Brent's what we call going to attend the gentleman's course of Naval Command and Staff College. And what I mean by gentleman's course is he's going to play a lot of golf, which Jeff is very familiar with, I'm sure. So they get to Rhode Island. They focus a lot on family, a lot on golf, and it's also where Parker started playing baseball. And like I said, they've been at the ball fields ever since. At the end of that year, he was selected for another gentleman's course where he attended Joint PME 2, 8 more weeks of golf. And this is when, again, maybe not the best decision, he tells Heather, "I need you to pack up the family and move the zoo to Omaha by yourself." And so Heather, the saint she is, packed up the 4 kids and moved to Omaha. All right, family, again, short. It's baseball, baseball, and more baseball. Impact, he drafted the first ever U.S. Strategic Command campaign plan, which, for those of you who don't know, it defines all of our major operations, achieving a huge objective of some sort from the 4-star general. It's not an easy task, especially when it involved nukes, but Brent summed it up nicely as we chatted. He said, "All right, no nukes went off today. Win-win." There's the campaign plan. Humility, here we go. #1 of 40, military and civilian. #1 of 18 in the division. #1 of 6 branch chiefs. And #1 of 665 is the FGO of the quarter, and the top 2% of 140 joint lieutenant colonels. Pretty awesome. Last page. Of course, after doing that well, the Air Force knew he was ready for squadron command, and off they went to Langley Air Force Base, Virginia. This is an opportunity where they could finally see extended family in North Carolina and spend some more quality time with their family. And it's where Parker got to go to his first state tournament, and the twins started softball. Impact. This is where he guided 49 analysts and 42 studies to validate 63,000 combat Air Force ops and maintenance joint positions, which means your squadron was responsible for all the assessments across the combat Air Force. Huge responsibility. He was recognized as number 2 of 5 All-Star Squadron Commanders. Now complete with this incredibly successful tour, it's back to D.C. for 3 years. First at the Eisenhower School for Joint PME, another year of golf, and then 2 years on the joint staff where you did nothing but work and there was no golf. At this point, the family's going 100 miles an hour in different directions in baseball and softball, and the zoo is in straight chaos. This next impact really stood out to me. It was where Brent had the honor of leading a team that developed our national military strategy for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is pretty impressive. That's the framework for the employment, development, and design of the Joint Force. So again, a huge task. Needless to say, this is an incredibly important document and a huge deal for a lieutenant colonel to have such a large voice. He was the number 1 of 15 at Eisenhower, number 1 of 7 branch chiefs, number 1 of 14 joint 05s, who also said, the best strategist I've seen in 23 years, truly exceptional leader and officer. And this takes us to the assignment right before arriving here at Dyess as the director of the Commander's Action Group, where he worked directly not for 1, but 2 4-star generals. He shaped engagements with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, interagency leaders, and chiefs of defense of foreign countries. I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty phenomenal opportunity. Only 1%, less than 1% of our active duty colonels get to work directly for 2 4-star generals and run a CAD. Nice program. In his first year, he was the number 1 of 100 joint service colonels, which is unheard of. But even more impressive, this is also when he was selected to be the 7th Mission Support Group Commander here at Dyess Air Force Base. And that leads us to now. Brent has done so much over the last 2 years, with over half of that being in the middle of a global pandemic. He led the 7th MSG to new heights and developed high-performing teams, and most importantly, he inspired our airmen. In just his first year, the MSG garnered 6 Air Force and 31 MAGCOM awards. Bottom line, he made sure our airmen and their families were the number 1 priority above all else. Brent, before I close, we have one last thing. I sat down with Heather, Senior Benavides, and Lieutenant Smith a few weeks ago, and we came up with an idea to allow some of those folks who couldn't be here today to say a few words. Senior.
Brent, congratulations on retirement, man. It's time for that hard work and dedication to pay off.
You have made each chapter of your career an exciting adventure for your family, and we can't wait to see what the next chapter holds. We are so proud of you and all you have accomplished.
Congratulations, Brent. I'm so proud of you. We're all proud of you. You are such a blessing to our family. And I can't wait to see you and the children. Love you, buddy.
Hey, B, Sammy. Congratulations on your retirement, man. I can't believe we're almost 25 years out of college. Coach K heard when you were retiring, and he just decided to call it quits. And he wants you and Heather and all the best to you and the family. Thank you for your service. I hope we can get together soon.
Hey, Colonel McLamb, Heather, and kids. Congratulations on your retirement. I am so happy for you. I'm grateful to have had the chance to serve together with you, especially during some really interesting times. Thank you for your caring example of leadership and your service to our great nation. You're going to love retirement. May God bless you on your next journey.
Hey Brent, Mike Warner here. Greetings from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base here in Ohio. I'm getting ready to move to Hill here in a couple of weeks. I wanted to send a message for you. I got one last Wheel of Fortune puzzle for you. Here you go. It's a phrase. I filled in the RSTL and E for you already. 3 seconds to solve. Oh, sorry, man. It was congrats on your retirement. You would have won a trip to Hawaii. Sorry, dude.
Hey, Brent, congratulations for the Baumgartners. I'm very proud of you, what you've accomplished. Thank you for your service to our country.
And I know this ceremony is for Brent, but Heather, I just want to tell you I'm so proud of you for the way you have supported and encouraged Brent. I know you've helped him to get where he's at. We love you and your sweet family. You've sacrificed to raise them all over the U.S. So now that y'all retired, we want you to come visit us. We can't wait to see you. But Brent, you are not allowed to ride on a dirt bike at our house.
Brent, it's been an honor serving with you over these past couple of years. Congratulations on your retirement from 24 years of service in the United States Air Force. And I want to say thank you to Heather, Parker, Hannah, Molly, and Marion for your service to the United States Air Force and for your sharing your dad with us over these couple of years. Congratulations to the McLamb family, and well done.
Hello, McLamb family. You all deserve congratulations and a sincere thank you. You have conquered many challenges and faced hard times over the years, and you beat them all to get to this point. You've made many personal sacrifices. You should be proud of your dad. Colonel McLamb, it has been an honor to serve with you. You are the whole package. Leadership, courage, character, intelligence, wisdom, patriotism, and passion. And you're a pretty good guy overall, and you even have a good sense of humor. You will be missed, and you will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Congratulations on your retirement, Brent. On to the next phase of your life, and I'm sure it'll be fulfilling and very satisfying. I can't wait to see you again, and I love you, little man.
Congratulations, Colonel McLamb. Brent, congratulations. Wow, 24 years. Extremely talented officer, excellent friend. I think all of you know Brent is extremely high energy, definitely a family man, and very excited to see what you're going to do during retirement, bud. So what are you going to do during retirement? You going to go back to North Carolina? Maybe go fishing out on the Outer Banks? Well, I guess you could go back to being an author. I see you have a book already published. Let me read that last line down here. The book is about this model forms the basis for entropy calculations of the resultant integer program to maximize the information gained. Well, Brent, I don't think you sold a lot of the book, sorry. I think you and Heather will probably need a little more in retirement income. How about something more exciting? You know, like I said, you're pretty high speed. Some would say intense. Kind of like someone else associated with your fine alumni or school. Well, here's something more exciting. Obviously, Coach Krzyzewski's retiring. Pretty suspect timing, right, bud? He's leaving, you're leaving, maybe you'll take over. What do you think? Brent, whatever you do, congratulations to you and your family. Thank you and your family for the service you gave to our great country. You have made a huge impact on those you've served with and those that have served under you, and we definitely appreciate it. I wish you all the best, Godspeed, and best of luck. And I'm sorry I'm not there to give you a high five myself. Bye.
Hey, Colonel McLamb, hi Heather. Congratulations on retirement. My name is Paul Schwartz, and I first met a young Lieutenant Brent McLamb, who was right out of Duke University. We were both stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base doing top secret analysis on the B-2 bomber. Most of my memories of Brent and Heather are of our buffoonery of our early 20s, but I wanted to show this great shot of on the beach. Anyway, congratulations on retirement. 24 years of Air Force service. All the best to you.
Brent, congratulations on your retirement. Although we only got to serve 1 year together, what a year it was. With the onset of the pandemic and all the challenges that presented, and I have to say that you and the entire Mission Support Group team handled it exceptionally well, and that was certainly due to your leadership. So it was an honor to serve alongside you. I wish you and Heather all the best as you head off in retirement. And I know that wherever you wind up, success is sure to follow. Take care, Brent, and Godspeed.
Thanks for doing that. Really appreciate it. Brent, you served over 20 years in the Air Force with distinction. You and your family have shouldered the burden of 8 moves and multiple TDYs. In each day of your career, you've made every minute matter. It's been a genuine privilege and honor to serve with you. You're a good man. You're a great officer and leader, but you're a phenomenal husband and father. Godspeed as you close this chapter of your life and open up another. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Colonel Newell. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the Legion of Merit Award and the reading of the retirement order.
Publish your order.
Attention to orders. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the President has awarded the Legion of Merit Medal to Colonel Wilbur B. McLamb for meritorious service 22 July 2019 to 31 July 2021. Colonel Wilbur B. McLamb distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, 7th Mission Support Group, 7th Bomb Wing, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas. During this period, Colonel McLamb led Dyess, COVID, and Winter Storm Uri responses, seamlessly incorporating 1,300 personnel across 6 units, supporting 33 B-1s and 28 C-130 aircraft, ensuring continued support to combatant commanders. His guidance enabled the re-imaging of Air Force Bomber Force presence with the development, refinement, and execution of the Bomber Agile Combat Employment Concept, designed to provide flexible, responsive options in the face of growing power competition. Additionally, he led the development of Dyess Future by identifying 30-year infrastructure requirements and creating a $1.2 billion military construction program. These critical installation upgrades include 9 major renovations and 62 new facilities, driving the wing into the 21st century warfare. Furthermore, Colonel McLamb expedited Dyess's largest construction project, lobbying Secretary of the Air Force and securing $48 million for 6 dorm renovations. His dedication to taking care of airmen eliminated a 30-year life health safety issue. Finally, as Commander, 335th Air Expeditionary Group at multiple operating locations, Colonel McLamb led a historic $54 million COVID pandemic response in collaboration with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, United States Northern Command, United States Army North, 3 Joint Task Forces, 5 dual status commanders, and various state and local governments. He directed the establishment and organization and command and control of 788 Air Force personnel, providing more than 20,000 clinical support hours to 10 critically manned civilian hospitals in El Paso, Texas, the state of North Dakota, and Abilene, Texas, in addition to operating COVID vaccine sites in Brooklyn, Tampa, Greensboro, and Newark, where the team delivered more than 345,000 vaccinations. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel McLamb culminated a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Please remain standing as Colonel Newell will now officially retire Colonel McLamb.
Publish your order.
Attention to orders. By order of the Secretary of the United States Air Force, Special Order Number AL000952, Colonel Wilbur B. McLamb, effective 31 July 2021, you are hereby relieved from active duty, 7th Bomb Wing, Dyess Air Force Base, Texas, retired, effective 1 August 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Colonel Newell will now present the Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Colonel Wilburn B. McLamb, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of August, 2021. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Colonel Jose E. Sumangale, Commander, 7th Bomb Wing. In honor of Colonel McLamb's 24-year Air Force career.
We'll get it right. We'll get it right. Tyler, you're doing great, man. Keep going.
In honor of Colonel McLamb's 24-year Air Force career, we have a special letter to present from the former President of the United States. It reads, Colonel Wilburn B. McLamb, I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contributions of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you serve. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices. Made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms, my best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., Commander-in-Chief. Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne S. Bass, has prepared a certificate of appreciation. It reads, Colonel Wilburn B. McLamb, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, Joanne S. Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It is also customary to recognize the great contributions made by the family members of a retiring military member. Ms. McLamb, will you please come forward? The Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force reads, in grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Heather P. McLamb for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Colonel Jose E. Sumangale, Commander, 7th Bomb Wing. Ms. McLamb, we are pleased to present you with a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for your numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation. Signed, Joanne S. Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. McLamb to place this pin on her husband's lapel to symbolize his transition from active duty to retired status. military spouse medal certificate reads. The spouse may not wear a uniform, yet they serve their country. They do not acquire nor wear ribbons, showing where they have been, yet they go. They did not ask for the duty they perform, yet they unwaveringly serve to their best ability. They serve, yet are not honored with trinkets or pieces of cloth, showing their service. The burning candle signifies the lonely nights you have spent and that you have kept the home fires burning, a symbol with no beginning and no end. The ring around the candle flame symbolizes the undying flame of love for your spouse. The image of the rose is for the unwavering devotion you have shown for your spouse and their service to the country. This medal is gratefully given to those that do not ask, those that stay on the home front so their spouse can serve. They also proudly serve their country. Thank you, Mrs. McLamb. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the Dyess Air Force Base Honor Guard will now perform the retirement flag folding ceremony. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 15 states of the Union. The color of the flags are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the Stars and Stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on the U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans have been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us, for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for our freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict. on the land and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privilege, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to turn the floor over to Colonel Brent McLamb, United States Air Force, retired.
You guys that know me, I don't like things that are about me, so this is becoming agonizingly long. So I'll keep my words short. Good morning. Thanks for everyone coming out, for all the wing leadership for both sides, group and squadron leadership. Thanks for coming out. I really, really appreciate it. I want to say thanks to Lieutenant Smith and Senior Master Sergeant Benavides for putting today's event on. These things don't happen spontaneously, and I know a lot of effort went into today, and I really appreciate that. And the video was a surprise. There was some faces and some voices in there I hadn't heard in years. So that was pretty cool. Really, really appreciate that. Thanks to Chaplain Kim. He's over in Korea now, PCS, and that was a nice touch. He was our chaplain, and so in the MSG, and he always had a great story for us and made you think, and I really appreciated that of him. And he was just an outstanding young officer and young chaplain. I look forward to a great career from him. Lieutenant Smith, another wonderful rendition of the National Anthem. Thank you for that. And then the Dyess Honor Guard and the other folks, Tyler, who putting today's event on. Thank you. Did a great job. Colonel Noel, Jen, thanks a ton, dude. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, and it's an absolute honor to have you preside over today's ceremony. Thank you. So Colonel Noel hit on it. I've been in a CAG a couple different times. I worked for a number of 4-stars, and I got a lot of speech writing experience, unfortunately. This was the hardest thing I've had to sit down and work on. I've never written a retirement speech. I've written those remarks. I've never written these. And say that it was really difficult. I think thanks are in order. There's probably to where I got to where I am today. That's like the number one thing I want to say. And so I'll launch into that. To my parents, Harold and Joyce McLamb, and to Heather's mom, Mickey, thanks to them for giving us a firm foundation as we've moved off into the Air Force and into the world, right? We were 2 young kids and got married right out of college and headed off, and it was a firm foundation that our family gave to us that set us up for success. And so we'll be forever grateful for what they did in raising us the right way. hopefully we're raising you guys the right way as well too. We'll see, right? A number of folks I'm gonna rattle off here. You guys know me, I'm a storyteller, so I can tell a story on all these folks, right? And some we probably shouldn't share, but I can tell a story about all these folks. So I'll just rattle off some names here. John and Sharon Hendricks, Andy Kuipert, Tim Melanson, Les Sayers, Tim Boer, Greg Steger, Todd Shriver, E.J. Johnson, John Park, Greg and Lisa Whitaker, Brian Tingstead, Mark Nemish, Jim Turner, Jason Vadioni, Christy Young-Peter, Jim Barlow, Mike Fenton, Chief Warren, Colonel Newell, and Colonel Sumigo. Now, I'm a firm believer that you're a product of the experiences you've had and the people you surrounded yourself with. Each one of these folks provided me opportunities and pushed me to develop further and go to higher levels. But more importantly, every single one of these folks are good people. They taught me how to do things right. Be it with work, with family, physical fitness, academics, the whole enchilada. I learned an absolute ton from these folks. And they helped develop me into the person I am today. So thank you to each one of those people. I really, really appreciate it, and I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for each one of you. Now, Heather and the kids. Parker, Hannah, Molly, and Marin, thank you for supporting me as I went through this Air Force journey. You have absolutely sacrificed a lot. You know, moving around, all the different moves. I really appreciate how each of you, each time we got a PCS and got a notification or a new assignment was coming up, these guys were like, where's the next adventure? And they really looked at it that way. We were always excited to go to the next place. There was always some sad moments leaving some places, but we were always excited to move to the next place, and thank you for that. That is a tremendous help to me. You all make me extremely proud. These guys are smart, they're tough, and they got big hearts. And more importantly, most importantly, they're good people. I see them when they interact with their peers and how that goes on. And, you know, you feel good. You think you did something right in parenting, and these guys are make me proud every day. Heather, today's been a long time coming. So you mentioned the move from Newport to Omaha. So that thing, I got notified like 7 days before the truck was to leave that I was going to JPME 2 en route. So it's a 10-week course in Norfolk. So I was going to Norfolk, Heather was going to Omaha, close on a house, you know, accept household goods, all that stuff by herself with 4 little kids. So early on, Heather and I made a deal in our marriage that, hey, you know, because everybody runs across it, you know, we're going to stay doing this, or we're going to stay in the Air Force, or we're not, those kind of things. And we made a deal. We'll keep doing it as long as we have fun. Well, when I got to Omaha, that flag was thrown. Right? I am done. I know more of these moves. I'm done. That was a hard conversation to sit down because we were at about the 12-year point at that point. And so I just sit her down and say, listen, that ship sailed. we're in it now. And so, to her credit, and the type of person she is, she never said another word about it. So last September, or August into September, we were having the discussions about retirement. And I came home one day and I said, I'm ready. It's time. And she said, thank God. I've been ready for years. She hadn't said a word at all the entire time. She was absolutely by my side, absolutely supporting me in the pursuits I was pushing after. And that means the world to me. I mean, to have a teammate like that is awesome. Love you, girl. So on to the next chapter. Really look forward to it. All right, I'll stop there before I get emotional. So it's been a great run. I've had a lot of fun, had some great experiences, and met some wonderful people. So for years, I've sat where you're sitting in numerous of these retirement ceremonies, And to a T, every single one of them stands up here and says, hey, I'm going to miss the people. As I stand here today, I understand it. I'm going to miss the people. Thank you to each one of you. You made the Air Force special for Heather and me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remain standing for the singing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party and family.
No singing yet. Chief. All right, let's sing.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zoom to meet our thunder. Atta boys, give her the gun, give her the gun. Down we dive, spotting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, we're down in flames. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force.
On behalf of Colonel McLamb and his family, I would like to thank you for attending. Please join us in the lobby for today's reception. Thank you.
Thank you.